and Keith Campbell. This is a photo of Ian Wilmut. Ian Wilmut early life. Wilmut was raised in Coventry, Worcestershire, a town in England. He was born July 7th, 1944, in Hampton, Lucy, England. His father, Leonard, also known as Jack, and his mother, Eileen, were both teachers. Ian Wilmut education. Ian attended the Agriculture College at the University of Nottingham. At the beginning of his undergraduate studies, he pursued his interest in farming, specifically raising sheep. Now, he was never really a fan of that. He actually stated that he was helpless on tractors. He spent the summer at an internship in an animal science lab at Cambridge University, leading him toward the academic research instead. After graduating with a degree in animal science in 1967, he went straight to Cambridge, where he received a doctorate in embryology in 1971. Ian Wilmut research contribution. In 1973, Dr. Wilmut and his team were the first to breed a calf from a frozen embryo. In 1993, the government finally supported his research in embryo development and became interested in the underlying causes of embryo death in mammals, leading him to conduct the project that cloned a mammal. In 1995, Dr. Wilmut and his research partner, Keith Campbell, had swapped out the nuclei of 2 sheep embryos and those of 2 others, producing 2 identical ewes, Megan and Morag. But most scientists had thought it would be impossible to clone an animal using adult cells. Ian Wilmut controversies. His message was consistent. Human cloning should never ever be permitted. He called the very prospect of it offensive, because of both the risk of the birth defects and the fact that a clone would never be accepted fully as a human. Ian Wilmut Awards. Dr. Wilmut was the winner of the Ernest Shearing Award in 2002, as well as the Ludwig Darmstaedter Prize in 2005. Wilmut also made a Fellow of the Royal Society of Edinburgh in 2000 and of the Royal Society of London in 2002. Dr. Wilmut received a knighthood in 2008, an honor that was met with some protest by some medical ethicists. In 2008, Campbell and Wilmut were jointly awarded half of the prestigious Shaw Prize in Life Science and Medicine, with Yamakana winning the other half. Ian Wilmut death. In 2018, Dr. Wilmut disclosed that he had Parkinson's disease. Before he passed at the age of 79, he agreed to participate in various new types of treatments that were intended to slow down Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's is a disease that affects the part of the brain that controls movement. On to his colleague, Keith Campbell. Keith Campbell early life. He was born in Birmingham, England on May 23, 1954. He spent his childhood in Perth, Scotland. From an early age, he was very interested in what made animals tick. He was the kind of boy to fill up his mother's sink with frogs and read the newspaper, a family member stated to the New York Times. Keith Campbell education. Keith earned a bachelor's degree in microbiology from the University of London in 1978. In 1986, he got his doctorate from the University of Sussex. In 1991, he joined the staff of the Rollins Institute, where he would meet Ian Wilmut. Keith Campbell research contribution. In 1995, Dr. Campbell and Dr. Wilmut created a pair of cloned lambs using an embryonic cell, Morgan and Morag. He contributed to the cloning of Dolly. February 1997, Dr. Campbell and his colleague Ian Wilmut announced that Dolly, whom was the first mammal to be cloned by an adult mammal and who was born the summer before. Up until this point, cloning a living animal from an adult cell had been deemed impossible. Keith Campbell controversies. On the other, it gave rise to abundant agonizing as pundit and public alike worried that the cloning of human beings. This quote from the New York Times is just saying that people were afraid regarding the future of human cloning. The real value of cloning, he said, lay in the potential to engineer animals to produce medications and even transplantable organs for human beings. Those prospects have so far remained largely unrealized. Keith was aware of the cloning method he had pioneered, drew strong opinions from some people, including conservative religious groups and members of the Green Party. He defended his work by saying it was important for the progress of biology and possibly medicine, but he was strongly opposed to human reproductive cloning. Keith Campbell Awards. In 2008, Campbell and Wilmut were jointly awarded half of the prestigious Shaw Prize in Life Science and Medicine, with Yamakana winning the other half. Keith Campbell death. Campbell died on October 12, 2012 at the age of 58. He passed away at his home in Derbyshire region of England. He was heavily intoxicated when he had passed. This is a photo of Polly and Dolly. Medical advances by cloning. This is a diagram showing how the whole process worked. So step 1, mammary cells were removed from a 6-year-old sheep in the last trimester. So that would be step 1. Step 2, cells were replaced in a culture dish and starved of nutrients until the verge of death. Step 3, rescued cells were inserted into unfertilized sheep egg. The egg thinks it is fertilized and the embryo production begins. Step 4, egg implanted in the sheep was ready for pregnancy. Step 5, after 148 days, a healthy lamb was born. It took scientists 277 attempts before Dolly was successful.
Her name is Dolly. 7 months old, she may not be the monster imagined in a science fiction fantasy, yet the cuddly Finn Dorset lamb may represent a major landmark in the history of genetic engineering. On an ordinary farm in Scotland, scientists say a clone was created from a single cell taken from the udder of a sheep. The embryo was then implanted in a surrogate, making an exact genetic copy of its so-called mother. Scientists hail it as a triumph for research in aging, medicine, and genetics.
Polly and Dolly. These sheep were chosen because sheep in Scotland were the cheapest mammal to experiment on. Polly provided an embryo that would eventually be cloned into Dolly. It took roughly 300 attempts to get the viable embryo. Dolly, who was named after the singer Dolly Parton, was born July of 1996. Wilmut and Campbell kept it a secret until the sheep passed infancy. Dolly was eventually able to bear other sheep, but was hit with onset early arthritis and had traits that were associated with older animals. In 2003, she developed a viral lung infection and had to be euthanized. Her stuffed body was put on display at the National Museum of Scotland. This is the photo of Dolly, which is here, Polly, which is the mother. This is Keith Campbell and Ian Wilmut.